Welcome to another episode of Invested, a Fanbase podcast where each week we break down the fast-moving evolution and pace of the creator economy and our $17 million Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. I am Isaac Hayes III, the founder and CEO of Fanbase, and to my right, again this week is Noah Washington, who is in partnerships and communications at Fanbase.
What's up, everybody? How are we doing today?
Noah's back for another week. I like Noah on here because you're a good communicator.
Thank you, man.
And I appreciate what you bring to the pod. So I think we're going to keep you in this seat for the time being.
Hey, man, I'll gladly accept it. What did Peter Parker say? With great power comes great responsibility.
There you go. Hey, so remember, this is responsibility in this seat, man. But I know you'll do fine. I know you'll do well. What are we talking about this week, Noah?
There's a lot. There's Invest Fest that's coming up this weekend. Currently, this fourth year of Invest Fest. They got some. We were talking earlier about this, like Issa Rae, Jack Dorsey, some real heavy hitters.
Johnston.
Yeah, some real heavy hitters are gonna
right here in the ATL.
Yeah, shout out to the guys at EYL, just absolutely killing it, man.
For sure.
But before we get into that, sir, I gotta ask, why are we here today?
Why are we here? We are here, most importantly, to talk about our $17 million Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. Right, we are raising an equity crowdfund. For those that don't know what equity crowdfunding is, it's basically your opportunity to invest and have ownership in Fanbase by not being an accredited investor, not having to already be rich, not having to have this huge net worth to be able to participate. And especially in the area of tech, I wanted to provide this opportunity for people because I feel like collectively the new form or the new era of group economics is actually equity crowdfunding. This is going to become a podcast that talks really a lot about equity crowdfunding because it's just such a vehicle for us to raise capital for our businesses. So currently in our $17 million crowdfund, we are almost at $12.9 million. So we're coming up on $13 million, which means we have $4 million to go before we close this round. If you want to invest in Fanbase and have equity, you can go to startengine.com/Fanbase and invest right now. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This is not a GoFundMe. This is not a donation. You sit on the cap table with over 23,000 people who have already invested in Fanbase, which is important. This week, I wanted to talk about the Black culture tech effect, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday on the Monday morning marketing meeting, we had a conversation with Nick Love, and a question was asked. I'm going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Who is currently moving the culture, right? What do you think about that question?
That is a loaded question. Who is currently leading the culture?
Yeah. Like if you had to name somebody.
I think, gosh, that is such a deep question because I'm gonna break it down how I see it. And hopefully my answer will come in that thought process, right? Well, I'm thinking of the culture, right? I'm thinking of ways that somebody is moving either tech, media, or anything in the popular zeitgeist forward.
Okay.
Right? Through innovative thought or creation, whatever category it may fall into.
Is that one person? Is that several people?
It can be several people. It could be a group.
I got my theory on it. Let me tell you what I said yesterday. I'm gonna tell you what I said yesterday. I said before it used to be individual people.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan moved the culture forward. Jay-Z moved the culture forward. Certain individuals in our community. And let's be clear, if we're going to say culture, Black culture is American culture, and American culture is global culture.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
If we rewind that back, we're going to say that again. Before, I felt like individually, like there were Black people that led the culture, but because of social media, I think the Black community as a whole is what's moving the culture forward. And what I mean by that is our collective participation in digital spaces moves culture forward. So every one of us that creates a meme, a dance, a saying, a phrase, anything that becomes part of the the temporary or permanent zeitgeist is what is moving the culture forward. Not just one person anymore. We all are. It doesn't matter how famous you are, or you can be the person just in your bedroom that says the funny thing that becomes the thing that everybody says, which is moving the culture forward.
I think that's absolutely right. I think there's no better answer. Yeah, I think there's a group of individuals who are moving the culture forward. Even from, we talked about this last week when I was at Martha's Vineyard, right? I was there for Polo Ralph Lauren, right? Even the creative director Jeter, right? Like, he went to a Fortune 500 company, legacy brand. He said, "Yo, I'm bringing the AUC, Morehouse, the South legacy of HBCUs. We gonna sell this, right?" I think the other dude who's killing it, and I can't remember his name off the top of my tongue. So please, somebody in the comments, shout it out. The new Red Lobster.
Oh, Red Lobster CEO.
But I think what was so cool is how quickly the world and entertainment and like media just circled around and almost put like a protective blanket around him. Like, they were going to let him do everything that he wanted to do. He brought, what is it? Boils, boils bags. Like, everything he was doing, even from him coming out personally and talking to folk about what he's doing. I think even before the Oak Bluffs, which is just super hot right now, I think he beat Ralph Lauren to it, in my opinion.
I know
getting, like, in terms of the internet, like, I think before when they did their thing, right, it was cool, it was passing, but I think it phased through because it wasn't grounded quite yet in legacy in the way it is now. But I think that young man who went to Red Lobster, I think he fully embraced it. He took, like, come on, the seafood boil bags, like, come on, man.
But he pivoted in a way that it brought more, I think, attention. Like, people complained.
Yeah,
they had their feedback.
They did have their feedback,
and he jumped on it immediately right away. What I think is the reason why that question in that conversation yesterday struck me, because now that we've identified that Black culture is what's moving the culture forward, all right, what does that mean though? Who's getting paid? Who does that affect? And I'm gonna show you what I mean. Of course, by now we have all heard the Jet 2 holiday. Nothing beats the Jet 2 holiday, right? I was looking at like the amount of Google searches that has gotten since March, and it's like, when you look at it, it's a beeline up. And because everybody's making these memes, and it's usually somebody doing something that's involved in something that's really like, I guess, a horrific or terrible experience on a vacation.
Oh yeah, I saw the one there. Some dude threw his phone out the window, and it's just the whole commercial. I thought, what's crazy about that, I thought that was a 90s commercial. It had that weird Mandela effect. I was like, I remember that as a kid.
Right.
But that commercial was made like 6 months ago.
Right.
Or something crazy close.
And if I'm looking online, now there's a New Orleans bounce version.
That's insane.
You haven't heard the New Orleans bounce version?
No, I haven't. We got...
Oh, the Nothing Beats a Jet 2 holiday. You can get your...
We got to link that in the...
We will definitely link that. But I saw that KFC came out with an ad for their potato wedges.
Okay.
And the line was just like, okay, here, damn. And that's all it said, with a potato wedge. And my point was, it's like, our culture, like, when we're thinking about Black culture, it is used in so many ways that's moving the progress of other companies forward. But what does that mean? And so I just think that being the coolest can no longer be enough, right? Again, I've said that before, like, okay, we're cool, but how do we translate that into something that is beneficial to the people that actually create the culture? Because if we run it through Jet 2 Holiday, or you run it through KFC, or you run it through some other brand, right, that doesn't necessarily lead back to some sort of ownership and equity for our community, where does that leave us?
We very often, man, and you preach about this and speak of this all the time, it leaves us with nothing, right? That is the time when we get preyed upon as a money engine machine or generator, right? For other people to come in and make their money. There's a great example, right? Very familiar with Juby25.
Yes.
Who is a creator here on Fanbase, one of the earliest creators here on Fanbase.
Yeah, for people that don't know Juby25, Juby came up with, I don't even know what the name of the dance is called.
Wait a minute. We can
You can Google the name. So this is probably like 3 years ago where there was a song where they were using A Bay Bay and he's like forward moonwalking, right?
See.
He's doing the forward moonwalk. And so it recently came to his attention that I think it was a Super Bowl ad for Skechers.
I don't know if it was a Super Bowl ad.
He said I saw the video that he
It was
said
definitely an ad for Skechers.
he said I didn't know it was gonna be on the Super Bowl. So it was an ad for Skechers and his dance, Martha Stewart was doing his dance
Yeah.
in Skechers. And he was like, nobody reached out to me, nobody contacted me, nobody did anything. And I think what was interesting about that was a couple things. I don't know if there's ways to actually trademark dances. I know there've been other, times where even the Backpack Kid, his flossing dance was using Fortnite and stuff like that, and how people can trademark dances. But I know that he contributed a lot to, again, moving the culture forward. An individual that just dropped something into it. We all try to do the dance. We all try to participate. Yeah. And it's been used in Roblox. It's been used in Minecraft.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been compensated for that. So, I guess what I'm saying is that I can say this, that Black culture is the marketing team for the world. Everything that comes out is going to have to get pushed through Black culture in some way to be marketed or promoted.
So
right,
that I want to get into a question then.
Okay, ask me
directly related to that.
Okay.
Why is Black? Let me rephrase it. Why is Black cultural production such a reliable growth engine for companies, for platforms, right? And why should investors see that as a core metric?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the reason why I founded Fanbase.
Yeah.
I'll be fully transparent. I wouldn't have founded Fanbase if I was not Black. I'm going to tell you that. If I was another race, I would not have created Fanbase. And the reason why I created Fanbase is because I'm watching our culture elevate technology to billions and billions of dollars, and then we don't own it. So if I was a white dude, I wouldn't have tried to build another social media platform because the technology is not what gives Fanbase the advantage. It's the culture. It's the understanding and the relationship that creators deserve to get paid, Black creators deserve to get acknowledged, and that is how we make money. I was saying that, the amount of the trillions of dollars that are made on these other platforms that don't allow other people to monetize, there's this economic kind of deficient that doesn't allow us to participate. And so in the Black tech effect, the Black culture tech effect, I want to start with Twitch.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with Twitch. Tell me about Twitch. Tell everybody about Twitch, what it is, when it started, and we're going to get into the Black culture tech effect.
Yeah, so I'm looking at my phone, guys, to pull up and reference the notes. So for those of you who don't know, before we get into Twitch, right, we got to get into Justin.
Get into Twitch first.
Get into Twitch first.
Get into Twitch first.
So Twitch was founded in June of 2011. It was founded by the same founders of Justin.itv, right? Justin.tv, I'm sorry. So it was founded in June of 2011 and was the streaming and gaming version of Justin.tv, right?
It was a streaming platform.
Yes. It's a streaming platform. So it was founded in 2011, would later be bought by Amazon, and I'm pulling up some crazy numbers, and it was acquired in 2014 after raising $35 million and was acquired for $970 million by Amazon.
So let's get to the Black culture part of this. So the reason why this is an important conversation is everybody knows everybody knows what Twitch is. Twitch right now is Kai Cenat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's iShowSpeed. It's these massive video game streamers. But before Twitch, there was a platform called Justin.tv. And we got to go back to like 2007, 2008, when the very first streaming platforms came out, like Ustream. I don't remember. You might remember Ustream. Again, we taking it back. People don't remember Ustream and Justin.tv. But you know who blew up Justin.tv?
We were just talking about that. Oh, just saying, Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy and Bow Wow.
Yeah.
So Soulja Boy and Bow Wow are really what made Justin.tv popular, right? And on Justin.tv, Soulja Boy and Bow Wow used to always talk about beating each other in video games. Right. They had Xboxes. They were the gamers. Soulja Boy's like, I'm a gamer. I can beat you at Grand Theft Auto. I can beat you at Gears of War. I can beat you at Call of Duty. I can beat you at Madden. And so
that's right.
A couple years after that, Justin TV creates Twitch, the video gaming streaming platform. And so that's what I mean by these young kids on YouTube, because YouTube had been acquired, but people don't remember Soulja Boy was the first rapper to go viral on YouTube. You don't remember that? Like Soulja, like Crank That was the first viral rap video on YouTube.
Which would later be turned, shout out to Donald Glover, to a whole episode of Atlanta.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
And so that black culture tech effect went from them talking about this to this video gaming streaming platform that got acquired for $1 billion, which is now worth what, like 40 something billion dollars. And so
$46 billion. Yeah.
Right. So are we leveraging, so in that conversation that we have, at what point does black culture recognize and claim its place as we move the culture collectively, all people, but how from an infrastructure level do we participate in that?
I'm about to get deep with it, man.
Okay.
You know this, right? Nobody is better at bringing black culture down than black people, right?
Explain.
So very often, right? I love this metaphor that Fanbase's producer and editor Andy Mateer gave me, right? It's the restaurant theory, right?
Okay.
So you go to a restaurant for what? The food, right?
Yeah.
Right? If it's good food, you're willing to pass, let's just say they don't have napkins, they don't have straws, right? If it's good food owned by somebody who is not black, you're willing to pass it, right?
Yeah.
But we become more hypercritical when it's black owned, right?
Yeah.
The food ain't good, and all of a sudden every little thing, it starts stacking. So we are more hypercritical of things that were built by us than we are if they were built for somebody who was not black, right? And we see that throughout history, right? It's almost a slave mentality.
Okay. You think so?
I do think so. Nobody, and we can stand even well, I don't want to get too controversial here with talking about Uncle Nearest, but she is going to be dragged through the mud more than her white counterpart would.
I believe that. I don't disagree with that. Shout out to Fawn Weaver.
Yeah. Who's doing excellent, excellent.
Shout out to Uncle Nearest. I think I make that statement about the effect that two black kids that are interested in video games talk about video games on live streaming.
Yeah.
A live streaming platform gets created, gets sold for $1 billion, and now it's worth $48 billion. And at what point should we enter the conversation of, we know we move culture, what are we thinking about doing what we do before we do it? Again, I would have not made Fanbase if I was not black and probably from Atlanta, because I know that black culture is what makes social media, it powers social media. If anybody disagrees with me, fine, but I'm the person that has always said that youth and black culture power social media, and without it, it's pretty boring. It's not very interesting.
So I want to hit you then with this counter thought related to the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think when we look at, let's take Mark Zuckerberg from example, right?
Okay.
He wasn't setting out to do anything revolutionary, right? Facebook started as a college group site, right?
Yeah.
Dating site, actually. I think the question is, when do we realize that we've created greatness? You know what I'm saying? I don't think anybody very few go out seeking to create greatness, right? I think most people stumble upon it once it's happened.
If you want my honest opinion, I don't think people stumble upon greatness. I think people build things and let black culture be the focus group.
Yeah.
and then say, yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I like that take.
Here's the reason why. Like, so Black Planet came out in like 99, 2000, about 25 years later.
Yeah.
If you go look at an early Black Planet page, it doesn't look very different from a MySpace page.
So shout out to everybody watching this. But you know what? I was 98. I was born in 98. So I've never actually seen a MySpace page.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Noah's never seen a MySpace page.
I've seen like screenshots, but I've never had an inclination to make a MySpace account.
Okay, so the MySpace, so Black Planet pages look very, very similar to MySpace pages. And so again, I understand that Black culture winds up being the focus group for this. And so again, in the space of tech, these are $1 trillion industries that we're elevating. And at what point do we stop and say, all right, we got to jump in and do that? I think my point in this beginning of this conversation to say that the infrastructure is a conversation that has to be had first. So if you're Juby25, how can I trademark my dance? If I'm Soulja Boy and Bow Wow, how can I insert myself into ownership in Justin TV so that when it does become Twitch and then it does get acquired by Amazon, how am I part of that conversation, right? Or shout out to Sexyy Red, because I have been talking to her team.
Ooh, you can't just skip past that.
Yeah.
You gotta give the update.
Well, I mean, the update is last week I said that I had trademarked something that Sexyy Red had said. I reached out to her team. We are in communication. We're working on something. I'm still not gonna say what it is that I trademarked, but we're talking about it. But I'm glad that the conversation is moving forward on that.
So you know what? I got a question I wrote down here that's directly related to what you just said, right?
Okay.
And even a version of what you just said. How does collective investment through tools like equity crowdfunding position investors to benefit from culture-driven growth at scale?
See, that's called like the biggest hack ever. That's the biggest hack ever, right? So it's almost like having the answer before the question. So if we know that if we're able to identify, as I said before, industries that we know that Black culture definitely impacts, and then instead of just wanting to be the first person that makes them cool, but actually own a piece of them, that's how it benefits investors. Is recognizing and again leveraging equity crowdfunding to do that, because the group economics of creating platforms where you can collectively invest and scale based off what Black culture does together, to me, that part is the most important part. So the effect, how that benefits investors is identify something that you know that your culture collectively can elevate, create a company around that, invest in that company, then leverage your culture to bring attention and scale that business up, and then exit that business.
I think that's a great point to plug in our own investment right now for the people.
Our own investment. Well, that's like, again, that's the reason why we're raising this capital for Fanbase. Fanbase is a free to download, free to use social media platform that allows anybody to have followers, but yet additionally have subscribers and also be tipped through micro donations called loves, all on iOS and Android in both app stores. And we've been able to build this company based off of group economics, right? Collective investment that people own. And I love to be able to talk about this as something that's not just a win for myself or individual success. This is success for the people that actually have equity in the platform. But I was talking about this offline. We're going to look back on the Fanbase story and say, we could have done this in like months.
Oh, that's how it always works.
We could have done this in months. Yeah. It took years, but we could have just hopped on this, set this thing on fire, scaled it up, and had it popping in like weeks.
Well, I'm so positive that will happen. Like we'll look back in the time machine and just be like, wow, we really did that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just absolute crazy. But I wanna, we're talking. That message was more so for new investors, but for those who want to reinvest, how many times can you invest in Fanbase?
So you can invest in Fanbase as many times as you want.
Yeah.
We've had people invest in multiple rounds. This is our 4th equity crowdfund campaign, 3 Reg CF campaigns, and 1 Regulation A campaign. And so there's no amount well, there's a minimum of $399 you can invest, and a maximum of nothing. Like as high as you want to invest, you can invest and have equity in the company. But that's extremely important. Again, this mission of mine is to say that enough is enough on just people being cool and technology and Black culture being leveraged, but not having ownership. Again, the Black culture tech effect is something that is absolutely real, but how do we manage that? Because to me, I'm very nervous. If I'm being honest with you, I'm nervous. I'm nervous that we're going to get left behind in the race to build wealth, because we're so focused on individual wealth and we're not focused on scaling infrastructures that we collectively can own together. That's what scares me most, because as AI becomes more and more prevalent, it's going to get more and more individualistic. There's going to be companies with 2 employees, right? That make billions of dollars. And if we don't find ways to scale businesses that we own faster together, we're going to get left. Because again, I don't believe that all the billionaires, on the planet should the Black billionaires are responsible for saving us, right? What I do think the responsibility is that we can collectively come together and work and scale businesses. But I'm really focused on us understanding that. I'm driving that point home today, even with this podcast, is that, Twitch, Clubhouse. Well, let's talk about Clubhouse for a second.
Our favorite conversation topic.
No, so all right, I'm gonna have the Clubhouse conversation, because I get asked a lot about, is anybody still on Clubhouse? What's going on in Clubhouse? And transparently enough, let's do the Clubhouse timeline and why the Black culture tech effect does that. I'm gonna tell the story of Clubhouse, right? Real quick. So in March of 2020, an audio chat platform came out called Clubhouse. This is right before the pandemic kicked in. And through the evolution and the growth of the pandemic, people were inside the house and not being able to move. But Clubhouse was an invite-only app. So the only way you could get in is be invited. I got invited to Clubhouse in August of 2020. There were 4,000 people on that app, Noah. Simultaneously, though, I had just got accepted to Start Engine to launch my first equity crowdfund campaign to launch $1 million.
That's great. I didn't even realize that was the same year.
No, it was the same time.
Wow.
So the rules of the SEC say you cannot talk about an equity crowdfund campaign until you launch your round and it goes public. And it takes about 3 months to launch a campaign. So from August, September, October, to the end of October to the very beginning of November, I could not tell anybody I was going to raise money for Fanbase. I had to be quiet about it. But I came up with this idea that I was going to leverage Black culture to blow another app up to show how easy it is for Black culture to scale an app up and do that. And I used Clubhouse to do that. So the first thing that I did is I got real schmoozy with the guys over at Clubhouse, the people that were part of the app, and I got, 25 invites, 50 invites. And with those invites, I started inviting the people in the culture that I knew would bring part of the conversation or would bring other people to the conversation as a chain. So Snoop Dogg, Charlemagne, Hannah Kane, Dina Marteau, Sean Garrett. I'm trying to think. Anybody in the music industry and the entertainment industry, I knew. I started inviting them to Clubhouse. You know what happened? They invited people and they invited people and they invited people. Well, Clubhouse started scaling and it started getting massive.
Yeah.
Right. And so from August, from 4,000 people to January of 2021, they got up to over 1 million users. And it's somewhere around, I don't know, maybe September, October, we're in an audio room on Clubhouse and somebody says it. Somebody says, here we go. We're about to blow up another app we don't own. And I said, got him. I said, that was what I wanted to hear, because I wanted people to acknowledge the fact that Black culture was about to take an app and make it the most popular app in the country, but we don't own it at all. There was no audio on Fanbase at the time, so we hadn't built audio. So in that process, Clubhouse scales up, and then people are talking about, yo, Clubhouse is about to raise some money. They're going to raise like a big round. And the first 1 million people that made Clubhouse popular, because by that time, this is a true story. And anybody that's on Clubhouse that want to refute this or test this, put it to the test. There are two people that blew up Clubhouse during the pandemic. It was me and Fadia Cater. Fadia Cater was at Instagram at the time, and I was bringing over a lot of celebrities. And together, we're the ones that brought all the famous people that wanted to bring the other famous people that wanted to bring the other famous people. And before you know it, Meek Mill's on there, Academics is on there, yep. Jay-Z's on there, Oprah's on there, everybody's on there, right? So now, in this whole conversation that we're having, people want to invest in Clubhouse, and they were like, yeah. And the owners of Clubhouse said, no. And they go raise $100 million at a $1 billion valuation, and nobody that helped blow Clubhouse was allowed to invest in Clubhouse. I turned to Ramiro, I called Ramiro, and said, Ramiro, we're going to build audio chat into Clubhouse. I mean, we're going to build, I turned to Ramiro and said, we're going to build audio chat into Fanbase. And we did it in 2 months. But the two things that were going to be different is that we're going to allow the users to invest and have ownership, and we're going to monetize it through subscriptions and tipping, so that these audio creators are not sitting on the app just talking for hours and never have an opportunity to make a dime. And to this day, for the last 5 years, Clubhouse has yet to provide monetization for any of the creators that are on the app. And primarily, most of the planet has left the app except the Black community. And the Black community still sits on Clubhouse today in 2025 with no ownership and no monetization. You know what Clubhouse did do? They found a way to charge their users, to pay them to have burner accounts to listen to stuff like that. And so that is where the disconnect in my mind is like, we have to start, identifying and saying, when are we going to just own things and really use collective group economics to scale and build our businesses?
I want to, before I got some questions I do want to ask you.
Okay.
But just for some people to know the math, currently, Fanbase audio is the highest revenue generator on the app. More people have been paid out on Fanbase as a result of audio than any other content format on the app, which speaks to the power of what you built, of your idea.
Listen, I think that podcasting is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Human connection, human conversation. I don't think that's ever going to go away. I think the problem that was had with Clubhouse, again, is they didn't respect the users or the creators.
So let's get into that. So what does the Black community's adoption of Clubhouse reveal about the stickiness that investors should recognize early on?
I mean, that audio has a space. There's a place for audio. It's very engaging. It's probably, in my opinion, audio is probably just, if not as sticky as short form video. Because when you're watching, when you're doom scrolling, we all talk about when you're doom scrolling, you're looking at one video that might last a minute or so. People are having conversations that last in Fanbase for hours. They're having conversations that last for hours and hours, and that's retention. When we talk about something that's a retention getter, it's like you're able to have a conversation, talk about a real life subject, talk about something that interests you. Could be sports, could be politics, could be social commentary, could be relationships. And those are things that mean a lot to a lot of people that don't necessarily always have a voice to speak. That's what I mean. Social audio gives a voice to the voiceless. And I do think that everybody should have an opportunity to say what they want to say and speak how they want to speak and feel how they want to feel. And that's what I love about the platform. It gives everybody a voice. Now, sometimes it does get out of hand and all those types of things. But I'll go back and say that in that process, Clubhouse was very, very instrumental in Fanbase raising capital. But that was all by the design of saying, I knew that Black culture was going to do what it always does, which is identify something that was very, very cool and then blow it up. And then let's repeat that process. Now, to all the users that are on Clubhouse, this is going to be my invitation to you guys today, is that I think it is time that you do make a demand from Clubhouse to either provide some form of monetization or some form of equity to you, or why are you there?
I want to follow up on that. Do you believe that Clubhouse's lack of investment opportunity or equity for culture drivers has weakened its long-term value?
Yes,
Go into it.
because now there's not really anything, there's not anything to really get people to be passionate about and stick around for. I think we're getting smarter and smarter about understanding when we're being used.
Yeah.
That's why the majority of the people left. I'm not saying that Clubhouse has millions and millions of Black users. I'm saying that the majority of people left and said, okay, I'm not getting anything out of this. I'm getting exploited. It's not really my thing. I'm kind of cool with it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think not recognizing or identifying that with Black culture is a misstep. But again, that's why I'm sitting in the position that I'm sitting in, to saying, hey, look, man, we gotta own and build and grow and scale our own infrastructures that we can, because no one is going to give us anything. Like, no one is going to, I don't think Skechers is going to call up Juby 25 and say, hey, thanks to your dance, here's some money, right? Even with Darren Henson, I don't know if you guys know who Darren Henson is, but Darren Henson used to choreograph for like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Britney Spears. And so that whole dance that Deadpool is doing in Deadpool and Wolverine, that's his dance. They hired a whole nother choreographer to redo that dance. But Darren Henson, a Black man, is the guy that came up with that bye, bye, bye choreography. And he didn't get compensated at all for that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine seeing your IP, your intellectual property on screen in a multi-million-dollar movie, and you didn't even get called to teach the dancer to do the dance. They hired somebody else that didn't look like you to do your dance and paid them and not you. You see what I'm saying? That's why the ownership of IP is so important. It's like, this man came up with choreography for NSYNC, and then that choreography made it to Deadpool and Wolverine, and the person that was hired to choreograph that scene was not him, and he was not compensated. So when is it going to be enough?
This takes me back to and I'm hoping this is a shift in the right direction, but Addison Rae.
Yeah.
Back in 2021, maybe 2020, she was invited on the Jimmy Fallon show, right? And she was doing they were doing a whole skit on dances made popular on social media, right?
Right.
And if you remember, there was a huge controversy because not once did they ever say, shout out the Black creators who have created those dances. And so subsequently, Jimmy Fallon invited all those kids either in person, or if they couldn't come, by Zoom or remote, to give them the flowers that they deserved, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that recognition like that. Now, this was like,
hoping. Keep going though.
Yeah, I know, right? But this was I want to say it was either around election time before Biden was elected, or where he was already elected. I'm hoping it was when he was already elected. But I'm hoping instances like that where there's, of course, course correction. Now, granted, Jimmy Fallon probably would not have done that if nobody called him out for this. So I think like Dr. Jamal Bryant calling out Target, right? Which has seen record low foot traffic going into its like 6 month. I think when we start realizing that our dollars are best spent elsewhere, and we're vocalizing and we're saying it, I think that's when change will come.
So this makes me think about InvestFest.
Yeah. Bringing it full circle.
It is. It's making me think about InvestFest for this reason. Like, how do we create vehicles of investment for Black people that we all can participate in and then scale? Again, I am always going to be proud of the people that have made the millions that they've made.
Yeah.
But that does not pull us out of the wealth gap. And it doesn't pull creators out of the wealth gap. It doesn't provide the opportunity for content creators to make money. It doesn't provide the opportunity for Black community to make money and scale businesses. And so I just think we need to practice this shift in collective group economics. If you guys don't know about equity crowdfunding, I would say look into the Jobs Act, understand how you can use that to elevate your business, and make things, make a path for yourself to raise, because we have to identify infrastructures, especially tech infrastructures. I looked at the top 10 richest people on the planet. 8 of them are in tech, of the billionaires.
Fastest way to,
and it's the fastest way to grow wealth.
And there's several different platforms that you can use. There's WeFunder, there's Start Engine, which we're on. There's a couple of British ones, and I just can't think of its name right now. Front Funder in the UK. In Canada. It's become more accessible now than ever to build wealth at a rapid rate, right?
But are we? But my question is, are we going to do that?
That's a good question, and I know for me, I have to put some answer to that, but I think it's a lack of knowledge that stops us from doing that.
Is it really, Noah?
Yeah, I think
you don't think we know better by now?
I don't think we know better by now.
Wait.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am serious. I don't think, because I think we are so siloed in other things, and we're so about the self that we don't think in large scales like that, right? You said this to me, right? We're once years ago, right? We are the only community that doesn't turn to each other when we need something, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else across the world has their own communities, have their own villages. But we are the only ones that don't go to each other when the option is there.
Well, I think it's out of pride, because we're taught to be we are taught to be the bootstrappers.
Yeah.
We are taught to be prideful and like we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. But that, to me, again, that's not getting the job done. That's not getting people. Like, when I think about the content creation space, like, people today don't even know to charge for content. It's like people are so used to getting content away for free that they don't even know what to charge for it, when there is a value to what you do. And when I see other white creators do that, I see white creators put up their paywalls for their podcasts, for their gaming, for their any kind of shows or content that they do. And we don't, because I think we get caught up. I think Black culture gets caught up in being the coolest more than trying to be the richest.
Yeah, I agree. We don't want to be looked at as the dude begging for money.
Yeah.
Right. Even though it's we will put all our time and effort into creating whatever product we do, whether it be a video or a tool. Like, we put our time and effort in, and we don't value time like everyone else.
I mean, we don't, but I think we don't value. I think if you don't value your culture, then in a way that understands how impactful it is, almost like we're so cool by default. We don't understand that saying Jet to Holiday, talking about, the things that we talk about are going to move the needle in the community, to do that. I want to take a second to, again, shout out our equity crowdfund on Fanbase. You can go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock at Fanbase at $665 a share. We want you to join this with over 23,000 people. When we get to $17 million, the raise closes, there'll be nothing left.
Yeah.
There'll be nothing left to invest in. So go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest as soon as you can.
So I want to say, with all of what we're talking about, we brought into the table ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Appropriation, right? How can we avoid creators like Juby25's content, original ideas, IP from being taken and then monetized by others that did not originate it?
I don't know when it comes to dancing. I don't know how to do that. I know how to do it when it comes to music. I know how to do it when it comes to phrases. I know how to do it when it comes to functionality with patents. So patents, trademarks, and copyrights are the three ways that we can protect our intellectual property. So you can file a patent on a specific way that a functionality occurs, either in a physical form or a digital form, right? You can file a trademark for a phrase that becomes very, very popular, hopefully like the one that Sexyy Red said, and then you can copyright things like lyrics, or music. And again, with AI out here in the music space, copyrighting your lyrics and your music is going to be important too. Those are the protections, because once those things get ingested by AI, they're going to be able to mimic Black culture to an extent. But again, we're not building vehicles fast enough to help us scale out of the poverty gap. And that has me worried.
Jesus. Thinking about all this together, where do we begin as a community?
What do you mean?
Where do we begin in building infrastructures that we own? I know investment it is, but for a lot of people, right, who don't have access to capital to spend, where is the first step?
No, that's it. That's the point of equity crowdfunding. So so what people don't understand is that the accredited investor rule was basically a way for rich people to keep being part of the best deals. So the accredited investor rule, I'm explaining this to people out there that don't know what accredited investors are. Accredited investors are high net worth individuals that make $200,000 a year for 2 consecutive years, or have a net worth of $1 million minus their primary residence. Because of that and that alone, it qualifies them to be able to invest in early stage private companies. That means the companies that you or I or nobody ever hears about until they're retail stocks and they've gone public. So Apple, IBM, Google, Facebook, Microsoft. Only rich people were allowed to invest in these companies, right? In 2012, Barack Obama came up with this law, or actually signed into law, this legislation called the Jobs Act. And the Jobs Act wiped out the accredited investor rule and allowed anyone to invest in an early stage private company, regardless of their net worth or annual income. By doing so, now the deals that the general public was locked out of since 1933, now you have access to invest in those deals. So we start with equity crowdfunding because now the game has changed. The playing field has changed. And so I can invest in tech startups that I wasn't allowed to invest in before. Now, I might want to put more money into them, but what I like about equity crowdfunding is the word limited risk. There's a risk in every type of investment, but limited risk means I don't have to put up $50,000, $100,000, $10,000. I can put up $150. I can put up $250. Now, the reason why I say this before, why that's so important in tech is because, again, tech can scale to billions and trillions of dollars. So I mean, you could take a small amount of money and scale it up pretty high and make a lot of money, more money than not. And so my point is Black culture identifying tech infrastructures that we can scale? That is the part that I think we need to think about. And that is the Black culture tech effect. It's the fact that every single day that we wake up, get on social media, we are the focus group to the world. We are being watched. We are being surveyed. We are being data mined to see what about us makes things cool and how can we forecast that and how other people can own that. And that's a very, very profitable business. You got to think about it. Nothing moves without Black culture, right? Nothing is made. Again, it can be sentimental. It can be adventurous. It can be romantic. It can be nostalgic. But cool, Black is the cool of the world. And understanding that and then leveraging that into something that is a vehicle to grow and scale is the Black culture tech effect. And so, shout out to Soulja Boy and Bow Wow, but next time, need some equity.
So I want to get into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
From an investor standpoint, what's the difference in return on investment when platforms are powered by collective cultural adoption versus a single celebrity endorsement?
Well, I mean, they're able to scale bigger, right? A single celebrity endorsement can move a platform to a significant amount of attention and value, but I think collectively, not even celebrity, just the people. Like, did you know that? Did you know that when Trump just won the last election, 25 million people downloaded BlueSky and shot it up to the top of the App Store in 60
Yep.
days. BlueSky is not and is still not a better app than Twitter. But that sheer movement of those people that stood on business and wanted to leave and go to another platform allowed them to be valued at $700 million. Just the sheer movement. What I'm trying to explain to people is, oh, so you can shift and move to another platform, but I can own a part of it when we make the shift. So we can all grab our piece of the pie and then move together and then collectively elevate the value. That's more valuable than any one celebrity could ever do. You see what I'm saying? That's more valuable. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Beyonce. I don't care if it's Drake, whoever it is. 25 million people, 50 million people are more powerful than one celebrity because collectively the energy, effort, and time that they're putting to be on a platform is more than one celebrity time the celebrity has. Because I always say celebrity's got a celebrity. Beyonce got to go be Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick got to go be Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? So but in that other time, all these other people, the collective community that is spending time on these platforms, they're the ones that are really making it work. That's why I say community is so important. Like, community is at the focus of all this. Celebrities don't make apps, communities do.
So let me ask a question then. I want to use Future for an example, right?
Who, the rapper?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So Future was co-signed by the streets, right?
Mhm.
He didn't have like a feature. He didn't come out with his first album and have Drake on it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So do you think that the streets, given the cosign, has done more for him than, let's just say, if Drake hopped on his first album?
Yeah, I think it does because but again, but see, the same thing happened to Drake though. Drake got a cosign from the streets. He got a cosign from Wayne. You know what I'm saying? That real authenticity. That real authentic group of people that are interested in your success. Because I talk about this all the time. Future wasn't going to South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times people tell you, go to South by Southwest, go to this conference, go to this DJ convention, get your record heard. Nah, get your strip club record popping, take over your city, get your people behind you, and scale up. Because everybody loves an underdog. I think Fanbase is going to be I think Fanbase will be the ultimate underdog story in all of this, because it will come from a community of people that believed in a product and a vision that the users of platforms should have equity in those platforms. To me, that's what's important, is the fact that the users of the platforms have equity, and that's practicing group economics. So I say this, whether you are Black or white or whatever, if you believe that Black culture is the economic engine of social media, then you should invest in Fanbase. It means you don't even have to be Black. If you just recognize that, yeah, the stuff that y'all say is really what makes this stuff go, I need to put my money in the Fanbase, because when as this thing continues to scale and level up through Black culture, I want to be a part of that. I want to be on that cap table. I want to be part of that group of people that were there that says, you know what? They do know this is the cool thing. They are making all this content. They are creating all this slang. They are creating all these songs, these dances, these trends, these moments that take over. And I want to be a part of that and not be left behind. So that doesn't matter. Again, we have investors from all over the planet. But again, primarily, I just understand that Black culture powers, social media apps.
So we got a few moments left here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shout it out one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, how can people invest, what not to look for, right?
Right.
Because very often y'all see fake Isaac Hayes, the third page is popping up and thinking it's the real deal. So let's get into it.
Yeah. So there's only two ways to invest in Fanbase, and they consist of going to startengine.com/fanbase or invest.fanbase.app, where you can invest to the platform. I will not cash app you. I will not say send me money. I will not say Venmo me. I will not say any of the things that people say. I can help you get into crypto. All that is scamming. I want people to go directly to the sites that have been approved and regulated by the SEC to be able to invest in Fanbase. I think that's the most important part, because again, I don't want people losing their money, and giving it to somebody that has nothing to do with what we're doing. Your investment helps us scale and build a lot of what's been going on. We've been very, very quiet about what we're building over the last few months, but the ability to scale the team, the ability to work on algorithm stuff, things like that. There's actually, I think there's a release coming out like Wednesday. I think there's a big release coming out on Wednesday. Don't say what it is. All right. We're not going to say what it is. I think there's a big release coming out Wednesday. I'm like, oh, this is dropping Wednesday. So, all right, we're ready for this.
So just, give them your handles across all socials so they know who they can and who they shouldn't be looking at.
I'm going to say this. I'm at Isaac Hayes 3 on all social media platforms, especially Fanbase. But I use all social media platforms because I believe in marketing where you want people to find you and be. And everybody's not on Fanbase.
Yeah.
So I can't just be on Fanbase. Somebody's like, people say, well, why don't you use Fanbase? If I'm just on Fanbase, I'm already there with the people that know about and believe in Fanbase. My job is to go out and find people that don't know about Fanbase, that need to believe in Fanbase and understand Fanbase. And so I'm on all social media platforms. I'll tell you two things that you can do, though. If you comment invest on any post that I've ever posted on Instagram, I'll send you a link to invest in Fanbase right now. If you comment invest on any post on the Fanbase Instagram profile, we will send you a link to invest in Fanbase right now. That's if you really want to get shot away to invest in Fanbase real quick, just comment invest on any post on my Instagram page or on the Fanbase Instagram page, and we'll send you the link to invest in Fanbase, because this is, as much as it is about building the app, at this moment, it's about closing this raise and raising the capital to build what we need to build.
Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Thanks for always, being amazing. Again, we do these Tuesday conversations that really help, shed light to the community on what we're doing, but it also gives a perspective on why I think I'm so passionate about what we're doing, and especially with Black culture. I think it's just such an enormous opportunity. The Black culture tech effect is real. Again, shout out to the trailblazers. Shout out to all the people that blew up Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Shout out to Soulja Boy and Bow Wow, who blew up Justin TV, that became Twitch. Shout out to Juby25, who's created these dances that they're using in Super Bowl commercials. But collectively, the time that we have to come together and own and build infrastructure that's able to contain our culture and scale it is now. And so Fanbase is one of those places you can do that. Again, go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest, and we will see you next week on the next episode of Invested.